Shalom. This is Truth is Everlasting. Lion's Den. I am Yahweh Sop. I camp out with Lion's Den, Hawan Ben Yashua in Jacksonville, Florida. But first, I have to give a prayer to the Father, to the Son, to the elders, to the archons, and to the women and children around the world in Paleo-Hebrew language. Kal Halayim Na Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ha Rokah Kodash Mahamah. In the name of Yahweh Shai, in spirit and holy and in truth, double honors to the 144,000 chosen elect, double honors to the apostles of GMS, double honors to the apostles of Lion Den's camp, salutations to the archons who are on the four corners of the earth, and to the women and children, Shalom. Okay. Well, things are getting pretty serious, right? Trump decided that he has the authority and the power to close down the air zone in Venezuela without going into the what they call that, the international laws to get it approval, right? So that shows you in scripture that he's the Hammond of the earth, right? Of Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 23. But he's not the only one that has that spirit, right? Because we have other Edomites that have the spirit of Cain, and it says here, the government just target Project Trigger, Trigger, Project Genesis, Kissinger's final plan. Elon Musk warns America. So you can see that it's the hand of Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai controlling these wicked Edomites, that they even use, a Bible name, right? And that's because of the spirit that is in them, which is the same spirit that Cain had when he murdered his brother Abel. Well, anyway, let me play a little bit of it, and then we're going to scripture. The title of this scripture is called "A Fugitive and a Vagabond in the Earth." Here we go.
The strangest thing you've ever heard. In 2024, a book called Genesis drops, a dystopian roadmap for AI, supposedly the final message of Henry Kissinger. 1 year later, the US launches a program similar in scale to the Manhattan Project, and guess what they call it? Genesis Mission. It doesn't just share its name with the book, it also pretty much has the same objectives. But here's the weirdest part. Everyone is acting like this program doesn't even exist. Well, I'm going to pull back the curtain tonight because they are literally playing God with AI using your money, and you deserve to know what they're planning. Now, I first came across this when Energy Secretary Chris Wright made that announcement a few days ago.
With this pen today, President Trump signed an historic mission. This is reminiscent of the Manhattan Project that brought World War II to an early and successful end, similar to the Apollo projects that put a man on the moon in 1969. This is an all-in national effort to take the power of AI and pair it with the 40,000 outstanding scientists and engineers at our national labs to use the world's largest supercomputers to advance innovation and science, to fix our rising energy costs, to give better economic opportunities for our citizens, to make longer and healthier lives possible. Today was not incremental, Brett. It was transformative.
At first, I thought he was just hyping things up, but I was wrong. If you actually read the executive order, the US government really is gearing up to throw basically everything we've got into fast-tracking AI. And of course, the official story is the same as always. We have to do this to stay ahead of our enemies. You've heard that line a million times. And sure, maybe some people will even call this program reasonable, even though it's going to cost taxpayers billions of dollars. But here's where things became a little strange. You see, when you dig a little, you'll realize where this whole idea seems to come from. The fingerprints don't look like they belong to the current administration. Instead, they point back to a guy who's been shaping global power for half a century, Henry Kissinger. the same guy who was involved in some of the most brutal wars of the 20th century, and the same guy who pushed the concept of a new world order.
For the first time in history, foreign policy has become global. Communications are instantaneous, and there exist problems which are genuinely not national, like environment, nuclear proliferation, and similar issues. So in this sense, we are living in a new world, and a new world order will emerge. The only question is whether it will arise out of intellectual and moral insight and by design, or whether it will be forced on mankind by a series of catastrophes.
He also mentored Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, and stayed close to the WEF basically until the end of his life.
Dr. Kissinger, our time, our satellite time is running out. What wonderful opportunity to conclude our week here with such concrete proposals and ideas of how we can really create, I would say, a new world order.
And here's where it gets wacky. Around the time he was advising these global institutions, Kissinger suddenly started writing about artificial intelligence, like a lot. And he kept talking about this idea he called Genesis. In his 2021 book, The Age of AI, he wrote a whole chapter on Genesis. In it, he claimed AI would change how governments operate, how wars are fought, and even how humans understand themselves. This was already a little creepy, but his final book took it even further. He said AI could be the key to solving climate change, inequality, and global tensions. He said AI could push humans past our biological and intellectual limits, maybe even trigger a new form of evolution. And to make all of this happen, he said we need new global institutions for AI. And we need international cooperation to push this technology as fast as possible. Now, once again, if you just look at this, you might think, so what? We could use some innovation. Well, let me show you what they mean when they talk about pushing past the limit of the human body through evolution.
You see a path for Optimus to have consciousness downloaded to it?
You mean human consciousness, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like immediate, but if you said down the road, would you be able to, say, with the neural link, have a snapshot of, or at least an approximate snapshot of somebody's mind, and then upload that approximate snapshot to an Optimus body? I think that at some point that technology becomes possible, and it's probably less than 20 years. Yeah. But of course, you won't quite be the same, you know. Be a little different, because you'll be in a robot body, and
Boom, there you go. So you can see the objective that they want to keep insisting that they have the solution to the problem when they are the cause of the problem. They have the same spirit of Cain, right? They want to keep going around the world, right? Raping, robbing, and plundering, okay? And that's the same spirit that Cain had, okay? And as you can see, the president here in America promoting the same thing, right? Going around the world. Doesn't America have what? I think it's 800, right? Military around the world. So when Scripture says that Babylon, the hammer of the earth, is talking about America, right? Because they're the ones that are going around the world forcing belief system or else, okay? Which, by the way, I'm going to repeat again. You find that in Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 23. Now, I want to go to Genesis chapter 4, verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. Verse 2. and she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Verse 3, and it proceeds of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground offerings. Unto Yahweh. Verse 4, and Abel, he also brought of the first line of his flocks, and of the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel, and to his offering. Okay? Verse 5, but unto Cain, and to his offering, he had no respect. And Cain was very rough, and his countenance failed. You know, already Cain, instead of getting the first of his fruit, he's already stealing, already cheating. It's like, you know, the spirit that he had in was a wicked, devious, devilish spirit. Verse 6, and Yahweh said unto Cain, why art thou rough, and why is thy countenance fallen? Verse 7, if thou do well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lies at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. Right? So let me jump there, and let's go to, I'll start with verse 12. And when thou tilts the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. Yeah, because when Yahushua came back to visit them, he was asking about his brother Abel. And when Cain told Yahweh what he did, well, Yahweh as a father cursed him. Verse 13, and Cain said unto the Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Verse 14, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that every one that finds me shall slay me. Instead of saying, forgive me for what I did, he's more concerned about now that when he goes anywhere around the world, that people are going to know what he did, and they're going to, take him out. But before I go to on verse 15, I want to go to Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. Whoso shed man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Yahweh made he men. Right? So in the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill. No. It's really thou shalt not murder. Because you can defend yourself, but you cannot go around murdering people. And who does that? Well, the Edomites. Right? Doesn't the people in power here in America go around the world doing that? Look what's going on right now with Haiti. Right? Haiti doesn't produce any weapons. All the weapons that Haiti has was brought to them from the outside. Right? They don't give Haiti a chance to speak out. Right away, they same thing to do with Venezuela. No sky. What they call it? Sky zones closing the sky. Ain't they closing the news? They don't let the news or journalists go to Haiti and, let the Haitians speak what's really going on. No. America want to have the first and the last word in everything. Crazy, right? I want to go to Job chapter 15, verse 20. Yeah, verse 20. The wicked man travels with pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the oppressors. Yeah, we said, when is it going to stop? They keep going around the world, pressing all our people, right? But Scripture made it clear that his time is coming to an end. So now I'm going to go to Genesis. Oh, Salakia. That was, what was it again? Job chapter 15, verse 20. Let me read now on verse 21. Salakia. A dreadful sound is in his ears. In prosperity, the destroyer shall come upon him. You see? So the Edomites, they know this, but they keep themselves so busy in the wickedness sounds that they have, not to remind themselves that the time is getting closer. But now with the 3-eye atlas, it got their attention. So now they're going to have to move much faster. Now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 4, verse 15. And this time I want to start from verse 12 and read the whole thing up to 15. Just to get the clear picture. And when thou tiltest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. Yeah. Every human and animals, right? It's already in their DNA the amount of offsprings that they can have. The Edomites are the only ones that cannot produce, that are not given a blessing to produce too much or too many offsprings. Okay? So they always keep track with that worldwide because they know that they cannot produce as much or more that the rest of the people around the world, humans, will take over them, overpower them. So now you know why they keep poisoning the air, the water, the food, the land, right? The clothes, the money. Why they're always having war. You see? Just like when you have if you ever look into cow ranching, if you have a certain amount of land, you can only have a certain amount of cows. Because one cow needs 1 acre of land to eat grass, right? So they look at us as cattle, is what I'm saying. Verse 13, and Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Verse 14, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that finds me shall slay me. Verse 15. And Yahweh said unto him, therefore whosoever slays Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So he was relieved. Wow. He saw it, Cain saw it like as a blessing. No, you mean I can go around, rape, rob, and plunder around the world? Woo-wee! Right? All right, well, let's go to song. And I leave it with this one because I got to wake up real early tomorrow. Song chapter 70, give me a minute, 79. I'll start in verse 6. Okay. Pour out thy wrath upon the heathens that have not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name. You ain't going to hear the Edomites that are in power call Yahweh Shai's name, because their God is Jesus, right? Right? The long blonde hair with blue or brown eyes who loves wearing high heels. That funny tutti frutti stuff comes from the Edomites. That's how come I say that. That does not come from our people. That was forced into our people because, Edomites were raping our people left and right for so many years. Okay? But that's their heritage. Okay? Then we jump to verse 12 and leave it with this. And render unto our neighbors sevenfold into their bosoms their reproach wherewith they have reproached thee, O Yahweh. And our neighbor is the wicked. Unfortunately, they're in power. But they got the same spirit that Cain has, right? And you got to remember that America, right? Babylonian, the spiritual Babylonian, right? They're the ones that have the hammer of the earth. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 23. They go around the world, right? Raping, robbing, and plundering, and then saying, no, we got to do this because these people are the wicked ones. These people are the criminals. These people are the cartels, right? But this time, Yahweh Bashin Yahushai has enough. He's just waiting. I shouldn't even say waiting. He's putting everything in order to make the whole world know who the wicked is, which now the whole world knows who the wicked are. And we are the ones waiting for the Edomites when they bring in the second shutdown, right? Bring in the global cashless society that's not going to work. And then they're going to mandate the charagma, the C-hip, to turn people into cyborgs. Just like, what's his name? Elon Musk said. There will come a time when people can transfer their brain or their thoughts into a body of a robot. I hope that this was edifying, and with that I'll say Shalom.